Da, da, theme song. Da, da, da.
I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki,
and we are 1,000 Eyes and One, the
the
podcast.
podcast.
We are back to talk about House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 9, The House That Dragons Built. To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, 1,000 Eyes and One podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as 1,000 Eyes1, Facebook and Instagram, 1,000 Eyes and One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.
Woo.
Ding dong, the king is dead.
Oh my God. Ooh, Break of Dawn. It's like that Michael Jackson song Break of Dawn is like in my head. It's like Break of Dawn. Just like all gray and quiet. Like King's Landing is not even awake yet. Just the little boys who
I
like
know,
the
it was weird
fires
to
are
see
going around.
it was weird to see the castle so quiet.
Yes. Oh, so ominous. And I don't even know if that's like that little boy's purpose, but based on other castle books that I've read, there's like the little boy who goes around and lights the fires in all the rooms, you know.
Yeah,
And
he
so
probably was there
I
to
think that's
like,
what his job was.
but like, how would he know the king's dead and not sleeping?
Maybe he went and just like maybe he could just walk up every day. Maybe it was his job to make sure the king was alive also.
That's
Walk
true.
in there, light the fire. Maybe Viserys would wake up and be like, "Hello, young lad.
Or
Let's talk about
maybe
the
he had to
history of
deliver his
Valeria."
medicines or something.
Yeah, something like his incense. Your
Yeah.
Grace, would you like this incense?
I
And he
prefer
like
the
went over there.
sandalwood today, lad.
You know, he's like, I put my finger under his nose and nothing happened.
The stench, the stench.
The stench. Yikes. The book stench actually is what I was thinking about because I like just flipped through Fire and Blood because I just had to today. I haven't done it, and today I was like, wait. I was trying to get something straight in my mind, and they talk about how like the smell, the stench of his body was wafting throughout the Red
Ugh,
Keep
that's so
because they kept
gross.
him locked. They kept him in the room for so long while they were holding the Green Council, which we'll talk about.
So the king is dead. Allison is mourning,
Mm-hmm.
and
Talia's
Talia is
snitching.
sending signals.
Mm-hmm.
At
I
first, I
like that
thought she
little
was
bit of
just, huh?
was gonna say I like that little bit of foreshadowing, kind of the fire in the window, and then the
Yeah,
fire in the windows.
right. I when she was lighting the candles at first, I thought she was doing something else until she turned her head to look behind her, and I was like, oh, like I
Hmm.
thought she was just lighting candles at first.
Yeah. Well, you know
Turns to
what?
look, and I was like, oh shit, she's sending a signal to Miss Arya.
I thought she was sending a signal because I was like, well, she's not letting it. But then today when I watched again, it's like she brought the table over and she like had to make a setup to set it up in front of the window. So it wasn't just
Oh,
like organically that she was lighting candles. It's like they had a signal worked out. Um, so yeah.
and like, who does Miss Arya put on the night shift to, like, like this shift work to just watch that window,
Yeah.
and was she just waiting for the king to die?
She can, I mean, it's from the looks and the sounds of him. I'm sure that they knew that it wasn't going to be long. It was
Well,
a matter
yeah,
of time, you
yeah.
know. So, and especially if she had, she was so well informed.
Yeah, it's just, what's in it for her
Well,
to know
oh, we'll see.
whether or not the king is dead, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the small council meeting, the Green Council meeting.
Mm,
Those treacherous bastards
man,
had been planning all along
all along,
to
all
usurp the
along,
throne.
talk about, oh, he left us a gift, you know. Aegon's gonna be, and like they must all know Aegon is trash. We've talked about this. How do they
Right.
not know? Like, are
They
you
do
really that
know.
hell bent on having like your bloodline on the throne that you would just like, whatever, we'll just figure out how to control him?
And for all of Otto's, well, we already know Otto's full of shit, but for all of Otto's talk about how Rhaenyra will kill her kids if,
Yeah.
she comes into power, to turn around and plan to murder Rhaenyra and her family.
Mm-hmm. Just like as like murder, just blatantly murder.
And then to
Like, oh, we're
send the
just gonna
Lord
kill them.
Commander to kill a member of the royal family. Like, what are
You
you
know?
thinking right now?
Oh my God.
This is why
Like
Otto is
that.
no Tywin Lannister.
Hmm. Yeah, no. It's just like I wrote. I was like he's like doing the math. He's like, wait, who else knows? All right, we've got to gather everybody. Don't let anybody leave this room until we solve it. Um, and like, what do they say? What did he say? The Lannister, Jason Lannister. He was like, all right, well, or no, it's what's his name is Ironrod in the books. The other Lord in the Black, the
Oh, the
Master of
one.
Laws.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
dude.
remember his name.
I can't remember his name. It's escaping me at the moment. But just like for them to just admit that they'd been plotting all along and that they'd been keeping it from the rest of the small council members who didn't know. It's just like
I mean,
Lord
really, just
Beesbury
from
didn't know,
Allison
and,
and
and Grandmaster
Beesbury,
Aster Grant and the
Grand
Archmaester.
Maester.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
Grand Maester.
yeah, Grandmaester. Whoa, whatever his last name is. Um, yeah. But my man Beesbury stood up and he was like, this is treason.
And it's
What
funny
are you
because remember I was
doing?
saying last week, I was like,
Yeah, and our
he's like,
spoilers.
right in the spoiler section, we are talking about how he's just seen as like this senile old fool. And
Hmm.
then today in the meeting, he's like not senile. He's 6 and 70 years old and knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Exactly. It's
And he
oh
was completely
man.
right.
He was. It was so unjust what happened to him.
It was very
And he
unjust.
called bullshit. And the thing is like we talk about like Allison willfully misinterpreting
Hmm.
what Viserys was saying. But he was like, oh yeah, just you and him alone in the room. He said it to you right
Right,
before he died. Bullshit.
right,
And I
right.
was like, yeah, no, call
And I
it.
think I
Call it.
think she's starting to believe her lie because she
Oh
know
yeah. Yeah, I
it's
think
like I
so
said,
too.
it's a willful misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
what she wants to be true.
And it's just like how like I don't know. Because when she sends Kristen off later, she's like the fate of the seven kingdoms. And I was like, well, what fate of the seven? You're like, you're not talking about the prophecy because we know that you don't actually know what that is. And
She has
even
no
though
idea.
Viserys was saying that, we know it has nothing to do with your Aegon. He's like a dream with dream. Like you're not asking anybody, hey dad, he ever tell you about this dream he had? No.
Right.
Like, ugh, scandalous.
Can we talk about that bitch Kristen Cole?
Yo, I cannot wait for him to die. And I think I'm going to say that once an episode. Like, I hate him more and more with each passing episode. And it's
He's
fucked up because, like,
insufferable.
I look at you and I'm like, you're kind of cute, but like, oh, I want to punch him in the face.
All this rejected by
I
women
want to sit on a sword,
and
pointy side
spin.
up. Hmm.
Um, his standoff with Lord Commander Westerling,
Yeah,
I thought they were gonna fight.
I wanted them to fight, and I really wanted to see what Lord Commander Westerling was about. But I respected him. He was like, you know what? I'm not gonna have a thing to do with this. He what
Right.
he says like
Until
there is
there's a
no
king,
king.
there's no
I'm
place for
out.
me here. Yep.
And I thought it was the most honorable action that we saw the entire episode.
And they let him leave.
What are they gonna do? Cut him down? They I think they know
Kristen
that.
Cole wanted to. He was willing to.
He was willing to, but I don't know if he
He's
really
like a
wants that.
zealot now.
Yeah. He's what's the Lannister who went all faith militant, the one that used to bang Cersei.
Lancel.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You let them
Lancel.
hit the good and then they don't act right.
Just lose their mind.
Shout out to Cardi.
Coochie make me lose control.
Oh,
Oh man.
we're
Um,
going off the rails quickly today.
very quickly.
It's late.
It's
Whatever.
yeah, yeah.
It's late. Uh, Fate.
Helena brings up the
Helena.
beast beneath
Yes.
the boards again.
And then
And
she's also talking. We see her twins, right?
uh-huh.
We see the twins, and she's saying to the little the nursemaid that basically that whatever what so what did she say? Uh Something about craving what others have and what one possesses the other will take away. And I was
Hmm.
just like, mm,
And then she began again about the beast beneath the boards, which,
mm-hmm.
I've my
When
first thought was
Allison came back.
spies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what I said last time?
Yeah.
That was spoilery.
Yeah.
And this time I'm like, okay, maybe that, but also just maybe the spies.
Maybe the spies, but
She was
also
also doing needlepoint with a spider.
with the spider, right? right? So that, but then I was that somebody I was talking to earlier, we're like, well, maybe the beast beneath the board, but beneath the boards was Malus coming up in the middle of the dragon pit while they were all there for the
Huh.
coronation.
Oh yeah.
Possibility. Yeah, I feel like I like the other spoilery solution that we talked about better.
Yeah, yeah. If they okay, Otto's talking about take her as prisoner. We all knew he didn't mean that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Um,
Mm-mm.
we all knew he like I think his plan was to take her as prisoner and just not tell Allison he was gonna have her killed. And
Yeah.
Allison just happened to put it together.
Yeah. I mean, that's really
Because
the
what
only
is the
it's the only option.
right? It's the only option for someone whose crown you're stealing.
Yeah, exactly. Usurpers, usurpers, usurpers. Ooh,
And after that sweet moment last episode with Rhaenyra and Allison, I imagine it must hurt so much to be betrayed
yeah.
by her again. Well,
Yeah.
when she
Well, when
finds
she finds
out.
out, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's just the apps it's just I don't know, like we know that that family is absent from the entirety of this episode, like there's no glimpses of what's happening in other places or whatever, but just like, oh, I really felt them missing this time. um and also I think I was paying special attention to the music this time and
Mm.
how Mr. Ramin Javadi was manipulating our emotions throughout the whole thing, and I'm here for it. Um, so good and so tense. And yeah. Ugh, man. Were you surprised that they locked Rhaenys in her room?
No,
Like I forgot that she was still there. And then I was like,
I
oh,
did too. I thought she was locked in at home, and I was like, they sent someone to Driftmark already? And then I was like, oh
right?
yeah, no, she was just there for dinner last night. So of
Right.
course she's
And
still
that's what
there.
I have to keep reminding myself is like, this was just last night. You guys were all together last night. And that's the thing that makes the small council meeting so much more poignant, and like that the scene in the court where Otto's telling them all to bend the knee. Like just yesterday they were all in here and Viserys was saying it's Rhaenyra.
Right.
We were all here. This was not like 3 months ago. It wasn't 20 years ago. This was
It was
yesterday.
yesterday.
And you expect us to say that he changed his mind in his sleep, and we know that he's been drugged up, like, heroin and all this stuff this whole time? Like, nah, nobody
Right.
buys it.
Nobody, not even Aegon.
No, especially not Aegon.
Everyone just scoffs at it like, bitch, please.
hmm Yeah, okay, mom, whatever.
Right.
Whatever. And that's why it's like it reminds me of like Ned with the whole, the change in the air, and not like my son,
Uh-huh.
right?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, sure, Ned.
Right.
Sure, he changed it before he died, and it was just you alone in the room with him.
Right.
Yeah, no.
What did
Whew.
you think about Rhaenys' conversation with Allison? She was spitting bars.
Yeah, she was. Hold on, let me fast forward in my notes to where that is.
Yeah, sorry, I definitely
Just
jumped
like,
ahead.
yeah, I was like, I wrote, how dare you?
Oh, I
Just
found the
like,
quote
how?
I loved from her.
Go for it.
You desire not to be free, but to make a window in the wall of your prison.
And
And
then
I
the
was
other one
like,
is like,
ooh,
and yet you toil still in the service to men.
yes. Oh my gosh. I was like, okay, Rainey's, he's
Rays,
Ray's.
yes, the
Okay,
Rays.
Auntie Ray.
Yeah, Auntie Ray, I like it.
She's Auntie Ray for
Yeah, Auntie
forever.
Ray from now on. And that's what she said. She's like, be bold, take it, hoe. Like, what are you doing? Like, you never wanted to like just be the queen. Like, you could
But
just do
also,
that.
you're telling me be bold, take
Yeah.
Driftmark, and you're not being bold yourself.
And then you're coming at me sideways with like your kids are dead, your grandchildren are bastards, your husband abandoned you. Like, bitch, what?
That one, the husband abandoned you part, I'm like, oh, if she puts a dagger in her belly, I wouldn't even be mad.
Yo, she really had it coming. And then she's like, oh, well, we guide the men. I'm like, take your piety and stick it up your hoo-ha, because nobody believes you. And I think it like takes her the entire episode to like convince herself like what she believes. It's like, cause no, no.
And
Yeah.
it was definitely bold of Allison to presume that Rhaenys would so quickly take her side.
Yeah. And be like, oh, I'll give you Driftmark. Driftmark is already mine,
Can't give me what I already have.
you know?
Who's gonna take it?
This is not a
Vaymond?
deal.
He's dead. Did you forget? He lost his head last week.
You know,
Yesterday. I keep saying last week.
yesterday, last week, it was
Yesterday.
last night.
Literally yesterday.
My brother-in-law was
Ye-
beheaded yesterday. It
Right.
hasn't even been a full 24.
Like they haven't even finished shipping his body home.
It's gonna come back in the morning. It's not even ready yet. Oh, we're so macabre.
But yeah, it
Yeah,
was mighty bold
I
of
really enjoyed
Allison.
that scene, and I think that
I
this,
really enjoy Rainey's period.
yeah, me too. It's just not the wig, but I think that what it's this season, the show, it's got so much of what I was missing of like meaningful dialogue between female characters, you know. I mean, I missed that a lot in the later seasons of Game of Thrones, and I'm glad that we're getting to see that. And I think that a tidbit that I learned was that this episode, not, I don't know if it was this episode, one of the episodes was the first directed by a woman of color for the series, which I thought was really interesting.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, I have to go back and find out which one it was. And they've got like three women writing on it or something.
I know this
Uh,
episode had a woman writer on it, an
yeah.
executive producer.
I'm just like, look at that intrigue. It's just like the intrigue is so delicious. It makes me uncomfortable, but
I love it too.
somebody told me, or like, it's just Succession with dragons. And I'm like, I mean, okay, okay.
I haven't watched Succession.
Oh, it's so
It's on my
good.
list. It's just another one of the shows that I'm like, oh, there's so many to watch. There's so much
Oh,
TV to watch.
I know, but it goes by so quickly, and it's just like, nom, 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 nom. I really like it. I'm looking forward for the next season. It was one of my COVID watches.
So
Anyway,
the servants all get brought to the dungeons.
yeah, they brought into the black. I guess those not. I guess are those the black cells? The black
Yeah, I
cells?
assume it's the
Yeah.
Black Cells.
Just
Um,
and Rain is Auntie Ray is seeing that. She's like, wait a second, what's going on? Everyone
right.
who's loyal to her is just being escorted.
But also just so no word passes through the servants. So it's not just people who are
Hmm.
loyal to Rhaenyra, it's just literally everyone, period.
Hmm. You see Talia begging for her life.
Right.
I
And
think, sir,
so
you've made a mistake. I don't belong here. Like, nah.
but obviously we find out that she talked to Laris.
Hmm.
So Laris must have already known she was a spy, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think he was well aware. I think he's well aware. He's too well informed. Lord Laris the Confessor. What?
So
Since when?
maybe he tortured her to get that information.
Maybe. I don't think he would need to
Because
torture
why,
her.
yeah,
I
but
think she
how,
was
why would
just, I
he
think
say,
she was so scared that she's like, listen, I've got connections.
yeah, that's true. Because I was wondering why he would single her out. Well, he would know
Yeah.
that that's Allison's handmaiden, though.
But he watched her too because she was the only one who was trying to get the attention of the guards the whole time, you know?
Yeah,
So someone who's doing that obviously has got something that he can use as currency. Because the other ones are just like, well, okay, I guess we're in here now. We're
right.
small folk. Um, you want to back up and talk about the case of the missing princeling?
I was just about to say the hunt to find Aegon.
uh, uh, uh. This okay. First of all, I can't tell Eric and Arik apart,
No, those are real identical twins.
and so I don't. I was trying to figure out who was saying what, and
And I
I
swore they
I
made a
don't know.
mistake I thought they made a mistake. And so Eric is the one who supports Rhaenyra.
Mhm.
Eric is the one who supports Allison and the Greens.
Okay.
And I thought they had made a mistake because I watched again with subtitles and I was mishearing the names. I
Mm.
thought they had mistakenly switched it where Eric was supporting the blacks. And
Mhm.
it feels weird to be saying the blacks. I feel like I gotta do a double take,
I know. I've said it a couple times. Like earlier, I was like, "Oh, yeah, Team Black." I was like, "The Blacks all day" or something like that, and I was just like, "Oh, wait,
It feels weird,
maybe I
right?
need to explain that."
Yeah. Anyway, like seeing that like on Twitter, like, oh yeah, something, the blacks. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, didn't
Oh,
a
Hassan.
politician in LA just step down because of that?
Ah, so yeah, uh, Eric was Team Black. Eric
Mm,
was Team Green, and I thought the show had switched it, but it was really me mishearing the names and also just generally getting confused by them. I really wish
Yeah,
they had
they're
like put a
just so
patch or something, a
you
name tag
know, like please
with
can we
different
tell
colored cloaks.
like can somebody shave like something, do something. Um yeah, I was
Anything.
super 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 confused. I still don't know which who was who because then you throw them in the armor when he's like escorting Auntie Ray and you're just like I still don't know which one you are.
So I thought that um Eric was sent out to go. I mean, I thought Eric was sent out to go collect Aegon.
But Otto sent them both. He's like, take your
Right, but the
brother.
one he was talking to, the one who,
Oh,
yeah.
right. The
So
one
I
who had
think he
let him
was
slip through his
talking,
fingers.
yeah, I think he was talking to Eric and telling him to get his brother.
Hmm.
And then Eric is also the one who was like, yeah, this is where Aegon goes. And you see the bullshit he's up to. And then Eric is also the
Yeah,
one who freed
right.
Rhaenys.
Okay.
It took me,
Yeah. And I bet you
do
Otto didn't know. He's like, whichever one
you
you
remember
are.
you saw Allison confuse them last time too?
Yeah. Oh man.
And do you remember that in which one of the books from Song of Ice and Fire? I don't remember, but Olenna's guards are Eric and Eric.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
she calls them left and right.
Left and right. Yeah. So Egon's gone missing because he's out up to his whatever shenanigans that he does when he leaves his wife to go carouse through the
I thought
streets.
it was interesting that the brothel owner was like his tastes aren't so
Discriminating.
discriminating, and it's like, wow, so
Hmm.
Street of Silk is too highbrow for him.
Exactly.
Like, what
Yeah.
is he into?
He's into the flea bottoms.
If
I was like, oh man. I was
it
like,
ain't
she's
got
sitting there.
fleas, it
And
ain't
it's
for
so
me.
funny because like he's like, because Amond is like, oh, okay, I know he's my brother too. I know where he is. And he's like, oh, that one time that he took, it's like when you take your sibling out that one time, and that's like the
Right.
place they remember forever.
Right.
He's
It's like
like the
your
one,
your intel is like 6 years old, bro.
yeah. And I like that
Sorry.
she recognized him and she's like, oh, excuse me, Princeling.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah, he doesn't Aemon doesn't know Aegon as well as he thought he did
Mm-mm.
because he
Mm-mm.
hates
None of
him.
them do. Yeah. He hates him. He resents him, you know?
Mhm.
He resents him. And like
Because he feels
Sir Kristen talking about, you should talk about old ladies with honor. Wait, didn't you just call?
thank you. All
You
women are
what
the
a
image of the
hypocrite.
mother and should be
Yes.
revered or something like that.
Yes. Okay,
Meanwhile, he
pious ass
called
hypocrite, Kristen.
right. Meanwhile, he's calling Rhaenyra a spoiled cunt.
Hmm. Eat a dick.
1,000 of them.
1,000 eyes in one of them. Yeah.
1,001 pickled dicks for you.
Amen.
Do you
And I put egg on as a pig. Ugh.
Yeah, he's disgusting. I was gonna say though, with what Amond was saying about how he's the one who studies the histories and
Yeah.
philosophy, he has the biggest dragon, he's the
Hmm.
one in the training yard, and that he should be king. So I
Yeah.
thought, what would it be like if Amond was king?
I don't know. I mean,
Because
I feel like they'd
aside
like
from when he was a
you
kid, we don't really know him necessarily
his
to be cruel.
personality, right?
He's kind of an
Yeah.
asshole, but we don't know if he'd
Yeah.
be a cruel king.
Don't know that. I feel like whatever's going on in Stepstones would be resolved instantly if he was the king, you know.
Yeah, I think he
Play a
definitely,
Vagar, whoop, whoop, fire
yeah,
Dracarys one time and be out. Um, but yeah, it's like you see that he I mean, we said that like, he resents his brother, but he takes it seriously,
he
his
does.
birthright.
And
He
he was
takes
also,
it
remember he
seriously.
had said that he would have married Helena when they were younger
Hmm.
and Aegon was complaining about being betrothed to her and he's like, I'd
Yeah,
marry her and do my duty. And so even as a
exactly.
child, he took it very seriously.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of king he would make or would have made. Hmm, it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, he doesn't seem cruel. It's just like he's maybe the stuff that we see from him in the last episode is just him constantly having to prove himself and nobody's paying attention because he's got middle child syndrome, you know?
and then meanwhile here are your bastard cousins or
Yeah.
nephews
Yeah.
who are supposed to be king before you and everybody knows and no one will
Hmm.
say anything,
Yeah.
you know.
Oof.
So outside of that, if he became king, would he kill Rhaenyra and her kids?
Well, he just said he'd do his duty, so maybe he would.
It's like you couldn't at least send them to the wall.
No, we've only
Um,
had the threat of the wall
yeah,
so far
once,
to the what's his name, and when Allison said that at the small council meeting, and I was like, oh yeah, send it to the wall, send somebody to the wall.
right? It's
I
happening
want
up
to know
north.
what the wall is like.
So now that we've reached this point where now the king is dead
Mhm.
and all of that, it's the chance now, well, not necessarily in the next episode because it's the finale. Obviously, we're going to see Dragonstone, but now it's a chance to see the rest of Westeros
Yeah,
so we can finally get out of the Red Keep
get out of
and
the
see
Red
the
Keep. We'll
rest
see
of the
the
country.
Starks and
Right. As we see which
uh
houses rally for who.
mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll start to get to see some of the other
And that
castles and
and that's something I made a note of because like in the small council meeting, Otto was like, okay, send messengers to River Run and High Garden. And I'm like, okay, well, we know they're on that side. So
hmm
who is everyone else? And unfortunately, I couldn't identify the gentleman, the Lord who stood up and was like, I'm not an oath breaker. Who was that? Do you know?
I feel like I knew and I forgot.
Because I wrote down her name, but the other one was like Lady Fell, but I don't
His
know
name
who
was
he
like
was.
Alan something. Hold on, I'm gonna look,
I was trying to figure out which
see if
house he
he's
was
real.
from.
Caswell.
Was he Lord Caswell?
That was Lord Caswell.
Then who was the one who was hanging? Because I thought the one who was
That was
hanging was
also
Lord.
Lord Caswell.
Oh, are they both Lords Caswell?
Oh, no, you're talking about no, Lord Caswell is the one who's bobbed and kneeled and then was
Yeah,
hanged
he's
later trying to
the
escape.
hanged later trying
The
to escape
other
because he's the one
Lord,
who greeted Rhaenyra when she came last
right,
time. Yeah.
right. The other Lord, I don't know if we got his name.
Yeah. I had the subtitles on and it wasn't like
Yeah,
identifying him.
he just said he had to confer with his house, so we don't know who.
Yeah. And I was looking on his like chest to see if he had
Like
anything that like
sigil.
anything sigilly or anything, but I couldn't. So if you guys know, please tell us who named that Lord.
And that other lady, she said she was House Pell.
How I thought she said House Fell.
Fell. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fell.
Yeah.
I was really
Ooh.
confused for a second.
Yeah.
So House Fell is sworn to Storm's End.
Oh,
And
and
in
they
the
were saying
council
they're having
meeting,
trouble with Storm's End, right? Like
because
marry off those daughters.
well, Rhaenys is half Baratheon.
Mm-hmm.
Jocelyn
That's a
Baratheon, I
cousin.
believe, is her mother.
Yes. Yes.
So she's half
I was looking at
Baratheon.
family tree earlier.
Storm's End is going to be assumed to follow whatever Rhaenys does.
Exactly.
And so House Fell is going to follow whatever Storm's End does.
Right. Yeah. Maybe was he a Baratheon then? Maybe.
I don't know. No, I don't think a Baratheon would have even been there.
Hmm. Oh well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so
Somebody
the kitty
tell
fighting
us.
pit was
Oh, that was
horrible.
so awful.
I actually
I
really
think
couldn't
that was
watch
like
it.
that was the one that like we've seen lots of violence on the show, and I think that was the one thing that I couldn't stomach.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I was once it started, I was just kind of looking away. It was too much for me.
You know, he's like they sharpen their teeth and they like let their nails grow long and file. I'm like,
And the way they were
ooh,
like scratch like slicing at each other and things, oh God, it was too
it
much for
was
me.
terrible.
Like I've watched
And people
somebody's
are there screaming and like cheering for him. Like, yo, even Damon wasn't seen in these places, as
right,
far as we know.
right. And then we also see that Aegon has a bastard and probably a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch.
Yep.
Little white-haired baby in the fighting pit.
Oh my God. The search for Aegon. And then they find him in like the most unlikely place, but after they have been noticed. Because they're not inconspicuous running around King's Landing, right?
Right, they took their cloaks off, but it's like two tall, identical twins.
Yeah.
Just like,
Like well groomed. Probably smells good. They
all
probably
right,
smell good.
smelling like mint. I don't know why
Yeah.
mint.
I don't know either, but I love it. Uh Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't catch her name, but she was in service to Massaria, and she's like, oh, I mean, they must have known to expect them, right? Because she got the signal. She knows that Aegon is out and about.
And they know somebody's gonna come looking for him at some point.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because he's next in line. Um, yeah.
And I imagine
Ooh.
the Kingsguard are somewhat famous.
Yeah. I think that the people know who they're recognized, like they're coming in and out, and white cloaks are not,
Like
you
maybe
know.
from afar you're not gonna notice them because they don't have the cloaks on, but then when you get closer, imagine they've seen them so many times.
Yeah, I mean I can't. I'm gonna mess up the Coolio lyric. The little
May he
homies want
rest
to
in
be,
peace.
yeah, R.I.P. Coolio. But yeah, they're the type of people little homies want to be when they grow up, right? All little boys want to be knights and they want to be part of the King's Guard. So I'm sure that they're pretty much celebrities. And I just
Yeah.
like I also love how throughout this whole thing, it's like, we throw up the hood, boom, we're in disguise. Cloaks up, hoods up, I'm in disguise. As if we wouldn't be able to know who you are, because it's not like you're wearing raggedy cloaks either.
Right.
It's the finest, the finest silks and stuff. Anyway, yeah, so we get to whoever the woman was who gets the twins, and she's like, listen, hands heirs only. Sorry, bros. And they're like, what? But they listen to what she has to say and
And
they go
they're
get Otto.
yeah, and I mean they don't know that Massaria and Otto have had dealings in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned that Otto doesn't realize how much Massaria really knows.
Yeah, because that the look on his face when she's like, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
And we finally get the
okay.
nickname the White Worm.
Yeah, yeah, finally.
I liked that all she really wanted was for the fighting pits to be closed.
Yeah, I thought that was quite noble of her.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if I really bought it, right? Like I felt like it was like a very gentle request and it makes sense and whatever, but I just don't know like what her stake is in all of that, just other than just not see cruelty happening, which is commendable. But I felt like she should have wanted more, or I wanted her to want more than that. Um,
Mm.
yeah, but what does she say? She's like, there's no power but what the people allow you to take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wrote it down too.
yeah. And I like that. I like that she's saying that, you need the small, excuse me. You need the small folk. You need this. I mean, you don't need their support, but they are your subjects, and you should
You
pay
certainly don't
attention to
want
what's
them all to
happening.
turn on you.
Yeah.
Okay. Laris and Otto, their conversation.
Laris, like, why is he in all the things? He is everywhere in this
Mm-hmm.
episode, right? He's in the dungeons, he's in the throne room, he is everywhere you look. He's talking to Otto. He's like, hey. And like I didn't well, we will get to that, but I just I don't know. I didn't I didn't expect I didn't expect that conversation, and we haven't really seen them deal with each other, so I was a little bit surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the perfect time for him to crawl out of his little lairs and trying to like get his hands dirty. So
And get in
maybe he
even
should.
deeper.
Yeah.
A thing I forgot to mention about Aegon is that when
Them fighting in the streets and
yeah,
him saying that he wants out of it.
yes, actually, yeah. So let's go back
Yeah.
to let's forget
Yeah.
about those two and go back to this because
Mm-hmm.
I really liked when Eric, I think, said, "You flee what other men die seeking."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I had to
like,
rewind it 3 times to hear what that was. I was like, what did he say to him? He got a
yeah.
pin on the ground.
And like Aegon can't fight for shit. He couldn't even run.
No, it was the stupidest run I've ever seen.
He wasn't even moving fast. Like, you know when you see a baby run and
Yeah.
it feels like they're moving so fast when you really look, it's like they're not really going
Hmm.
that fast.
But it's like, I mean, to be fair, he just woke up and they pulled him out of the side table
That's true.
and
But
unraveled
he
him,
it
and
shows that
he
he
was
doesn't
sleeping off a
train though.
hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah, like absolutely. He's got no training. And it's just like he doesn't want it, he doesn't expect it. And it's like if you guys were at all, and he says it out loud, he's like, I don't want to rule or whatever it is that he's I'm like, yo, they're trying to keep a secret. Nobody
Right.
knows the king dead yet. But like it's not like I said, like they're not incognito as they think because they're fighting in the sept. Like people are taking notice. It reminds me a little bit of like the Capulets and the Montagues fighting all in the streets of Verona. And I'm just like, oh, don't you guys know that you're not supposed to do this? You're endangering society.
What did you think about the
Um,
battle between Eric and
Sir
Kristen?
Kristen.
Whole time I thought he was fighting Eric, but
I
he was
didn't know who he
fighting.
was fighting.
I thought he was fighting Eric, but he was actually fighting Eric.
Yeah.
And Eric was like, "Man, fuck this shit." And Eric even yells like, "Are you gonna help me?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "No,
He's like, no, I don't want anything to do with
like
this.
this is some bullshit."
And then Kirsten called him out. He's like, what about where's your brother? Nah, 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 nah.
Oh, he's such a dick. I
I
hate
hate
him.
him. I hate him so much.
I really do.
Ugh, stupid Kristen. Because Egon was like, listen, just put me on a boat, send me somewhere else. I'll go away. You can be king. And Aemon's like,
It looked like he considered
say
it.
word. And then here comes Kristen. He's like, let's bring you back to your mom. It is really
Oh God,
pathetic how
and
he says, like, I
I
want my
want my
mom, I want my
mother.
mother.
Oh my
Kind
God.
of like Joffrey. Is
Is
this
this
my
your
mother?
king?
Ugh, man. Pathetic. Pathetic. But well, we'll talk about that a little bit, but yeah.
Well, we get that moment also with Allison, and speaking of his mother, with Allison and Otto, where it finally dawns on her that she's just been
Mm-hmm.
his pawn all this time.
Mm-hmm.
But just
It's
like,
like,
really,
I
girl, you
made
just
you.
noticed? You just noticed?
I made you. But the irony is that he says she's like realizing this, and then she's having like echoes of the same conversation in the carriage with Egon on the way to this onto the way to the
Right,
dragon pit.
right. And all he cares about is, do you love me?
Do you love me? And she's like, everything that I've done for you.
You
Do you
imbecile.
understand? And I like that that's all she said. And she was just like so flabbergasted, just like, oh my God, this kid's a fucking idiot. Like, do I love you? Do you understand what we have been doing today to put you on the throne? Like, do you appreciate the lengths that we have gone to? Oh man. All right. Back to Lanky Lord Laris.
Yeah. Um, let's address the elephant in the room. Laris has been trading secrets for toes.
I've called him Sir Laris foot fetish.
Yeah, he has been trading secrets for toes. So when she sat down and took off her shoes, my first thought was she's just tired.
She's had a long day.
And like she's gonna take off her shoes and get comfortable and like massage her feet. But
She's
then
in
she
her
put them
room.
on the table, and I remember thinking, what a weird way to sit with your feet on the table.
Like that's very undignified for a queen.
Like it's just a weird way to sit in general, with just like your
Yeah.
feet just halfway on the table. Like, normally you'd lean
Yeah, like
back, cross your
uncomfortable.
ankles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that was my first thing that I was like, that's weird.
Thought it was
And
weird. I was
then
like,
when
just
he was just kind of staring at them, and then she kind of scoffs a little bit and then starts taking off her stockings. I was like, are you gonna take off your stockings in front of him? Like that seems
mm-hmm.
unladylike.
As soon as she started taking off the stockings, I got it. I was like, oh,
No, I was still holding on to like,
oh.
nope, she just wants to rest. They're tight, right?
Yeah, no,
And then
no.
she put her bare feet on the table, and you see the just this lecherous look in his eyes. And
mm-hmm.
I jokingly said to Brian, I bet his dick is on brick right now. And I was joking. I was completely joking. And then we find out it was.
Yeah. No, I dated people with foot fetishes and
I'm not knocking anybody
yeah.
with a foot fetish. I'm just
Yeah, me
saying,
neither. Me neither.
for
It's
the queen of
good times.
decency and decorum to be
Yeah.
trading foot pics for secrets and then
It's
allowing this man to beat his meat in your
in front
presence.
of her, like, and I was like, oh, and that's and it reminded me of when Otto's like, oh, you're spending many hours with the queen. And I'm like, is
Hmm.
this what they've been doing? Is this what they've been doing the whole time?
First
But
of
also
all,
it made me go, wait a second, you were doing this? Viserys just died like yesterday, like last night, like in the last a few hours ago.
yeah.
So how long has this been going
And
on?
how did it start? How do you broach that? She talks about honor and decency all the time, and she was like two secrets away from doing a foot job.
I mean, it makes me also wonder if her and Kristen Cole are smashing.
Well,
Because I'm
she does.
like,
There's that moment when she's like, "Whatever you
mm-hmm,
feel for me,"
for your love for
and then
me
it's
and blah blah
like,
blah.
as a queen,
Mm-hmm.
I still think she's not sleeping with him, and that she's using like the hope of it to keep him on her
To
side.
keep him on, maybe. But I think that last time he slept with like a high-ranking lady, he got burned really badly. So maybe he's got
And
PTSD.
now he's all pious, allegedly, even
Ugh,
though he like
go
murdered
away.
someone. He murdered
Casually.
an old man.
Ugh.
That
I
was
guess, but
gruesome
I
too.
feel like the accidental death was more brutal than like in the book where he like sits him down and like slits his throat,
See,
allegedly.
I prefer the book version because it just shows you
Mm,
how much of a dick he is and how tethered he is to Allison, how far
it's more
he's willing to
deliberate,
go.
right?
Yeah, how far
Yeah.
he's willing to go to do what Allison wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this foot fetish thing. I noticed that they zoomed in on his club foot as he was first coming in to sit down. And I remember thinking, I
Mm-hmm.
wonder why they did that. We already know.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, is that where his foot fetish stems from?
Maybe.
Thinking about his own feet. And because this is HBO, I thought he was gonna come on her feet.
Ooh, really? All that?
Yeah,
Cum gummies on the feet?
yeah.
Yee.
I thought we were gonna
I
see
would have
some
been
tummies. Or
shocked.
maybe they wouldn't show it, but I definitely
Yeah.
thought that like maybe they're gonna show like the actual semen like on her feet. That's a bridge too far. But I
Right.
thought they
Oh
would
my
like show
God.
him finishing over her feet, and I was just like, how far is this gonna go?
Yeah, no, I think that's too dangerous. At least there she could just be like, "Oh, we were just hanging out and my feet got hot."
And then he's being all demure, like keeping it in his pants to do
Oh
it.
my
Like might as
God,
well,
I
like we know
know.
what
Just
you're
might as
doing.
well
You
pull
might
it
as well
out.
whip it out. Like, why are we pretending? And she's
That's
looking
funny.
away, like, bitch,
So,
might
like
as well
it's like
watch.
you've been here before. Like this is something that you
Like,
do
don't
often.
act like you
It's
don't
not
like it.
it's not the first time. Like you
Because
don't
it's like
feel a little bit powerful.
you could just not do it.
You could just not do it. There are other ways to get secrets.
Like, you could just not do it.
Masari is not pulling her toes out for anybody.
Neither is Otto. Like, Otto didn't like take his
Imagine.
toes out from Massaria to get some secrets.
Crusty ass piece on the
Oh, I mean,
table.
based on his hair and beard, I would think so.
Oh my
That
God.
is a man does not care about grooming.
No.
Yeah, Laris thing was just like,
That threw me for a loop. It really did. And I was just like, oh, wait a
oh,
second.
and obviously we've already forgotten to talk about what the secret was. He was telling her about Talia and Massaria's
Right.
connection, because actually completely forgot what he told her because I was just in shock from that
Yeah.
scene.
I don't even know if I wrote it down.
But yeah,
No, I wrote down Solaris foot fetish, Sabretooth, because you reminded me of Sabretooth from X-Men a little bit. And then I put more arson. Those are my notes. Not even anything about the secret.
yep, there was a whole thing. She's finding out
uh,
that Talia is a
as an
spy.
informer. Yep.
Some blah, 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 blah.
And make it bum down. Fair use. Fair use.
Right.
Uh,
So yes,
yeah.
she knows that Talia is a spy.
Hmm.
I guess we'll find out what happened to Talia. I think Talia is dead,
She
personally.
must be. Yeah, I do too. I think they must have let her, he must have let her go afterwards, and maybe she burnt to a crisp.
I just assumed he killed her or had her killed before
Maybe.
because, the next thing we see is Massaria's man's on fire.
Hmm.
So there was a
Who was
moment,
that walking away? I
one
mean,
of,
it wasn't him,
no, it wasn't him. It's
obviously.
one of his, I think it was just one of those guys he had who burned down Harrenhal.
Yeah, because I thought the guy who burnt down Harrenhal looked awfully a lot like Otto, but Otto would obviously not get his hands dirty
No, it
with
wouldn't
infant
be
burning.
Otto. Yeah, I just assumed it was one of those guys.
His lackey, one of his
Yeah.
lackeys.
There was a moment though during I kept rewinding back 15 seconds to watching it when there's movement in the window.
And there's movement in the window. I saw it too, just
So
like for a
is
second.
Massaria alive then? Did she escape?
I don't think she's dead.
No, I don't think so
I don't think
either.
she's dead. She plays her role is too important in what's to come. So, um, well,
But was that
yeah.
movement in the window her?
I don't know
Or
if
is
it
it
was
somebody
her or
else
just
that we're gonna find out died
somebody
there?
else. Yeah.
Because Massaria is very smart
Hmm.
and after her conversation with Otto, she had to know she wasn't
She
gonna be
had to know she
safe.
was in danger. Yeah, I would have been on the first ship to Volantis or somewhere else after that.
But even aside from
Or
leaving
to
town,
what you call it? Dragonstone.
well, I was gonna say, even if she didn't leave King's Landing, she would have hideout spots
Yeah. Yeah.
that
And
Otto
she's too
doesn't know
smart.
about. Yeah, she's
I
too
think
smart.
yeah, she's too smart to get caught up in that fire. I do not believe that she died there.
Whew. Do you want to talk
Whew.
about the coronation
The
and the lead up?
coronation.
Rhaenys and Eric in the streets trying to. At first I didn't understand what was happening, and I saw the bells. I mean, I heard the
Yeah.
bells, and I thought,
It's like, where are they rushing off all these people to? Because then I realized, I remember what Allison said. She's like, it must be witnessed by as many
right,
people as
right.
possible, right? So they basically gave everybody the day off and was like, get your ass to the dragon pit.
Was
Um,
that? I thought that was Deceptive Baylor.
that's where I thought it was, but it's a dragon
It's the
pit.
dragon pit. That makes more sense. Oh yeah,
It
because
makes
she
more,
came
and
up
I
through
was
the
like,
bottom.
she came up through the bottom, right? Because I was like, oh, the coronation is going to be accepted the Baylor, but then I was like, wait a second, we're thinking in terms of like Game of Thrones, right? I guess the Targaryens must have always been coronated
At the
at the
Baylor. I
dragon
mean, the
pit.
dragon pit. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
And because in Game of Thrones there is no dragon pit.
there is no dragon pit, and yeah, yeah. So it makes like, why would you not be coronated in the place that's the source of your power,
Right.
essentially?
But again, it makes more sense for Maylis coming up through the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's why she was so happy. There was a smile when she realized where they were going, because she
yes.
was like, Malus,
So
Malus, Malus.
when she looked up, I thought she was gonna see Maylis in the sky because of the smile
Mm,
she had on her face. I was
yeah,
like, what is she seeing? Is it Maylis? Did Maylis like somehow sense that Rhaenys was in trouble and escape? I
yeah,
mean, dragons are magical, who knows?
yeah.
But then I saw what she was looking at, and I was like, okay, all right. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like they
Because
told,
then now she's lost, like she's anonymous, quote unquote anonymous in the throng of people, throngs of people, and she's like, oh, wait a second, this couldn't be better. Like I couldn't have planned this better myself. So she just has to go with the flow. But I remember thinking, I was like, this must be the first time that she's ever come into close contact with the small
I
folk
said the
like
same thing.
this.
I said the same thing. She has
I was like,
never been
she's
around
not
so many commoners
nervous.
before.
Like, oh my God. Um, and to just be separated. But I like that she didn't lose her head.
Yeah,
She didn't panic. She was just like, okay, I just gotta, she's a very sensible woman, because I know
I
lots of
love
other
her.
people would have been destroyed by that.
Like Sansa.
Yes.
This is not
Inserts.
an anti-Sansa account. I'm just saying she kind of fell
Yeah.
apart when she got
Yeah.
mixed up.
Just a little bit.
And she is younger than Rhaenys. We know, we know. Don't get your
Yeah.
britches in a
Yeah.
bunch.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no, that was crazy. And the people were just like, we don't really know what's going on, but okay, like the guard, the gold cloaks are here, forcing us to go in this direction. And it's not like it was a short walk. The dragon pit's far from the Red Keep.
Right.
And so is the Septive Baylor, because there's that moment where after they find Egon, and there's like that shot of Sir Kristen, and you see like how far away they are from the Red Keep. Like it's in the
Mm,
background. And I
yeah.
was like, oh, yeah. But yeah, yeah, that was crazy. It was just people just being ushered into it. And yeah. And then we cut away to see the mom and not mom and son having this tender moment in
Right. Well,
the wheelhouse. Like
the coronation itself, you can see that the small folk truly don't give a shit.
they don't they I wrote down they would have clapped for anyone.
I mean, the beginning was like just like a weak, slow clap. Like, oh, I think we're supposed to be clapping now.
Oh yeah. It's like I was waiting for someone to be like a hype man in the audience, like a plant, be like, yeah.
Right. It seemed
Like
like, no, it felt very like, oh, I think we're supposed to clap now. And like a few people started
mm-hmm.
clapping and then everyone started clapping. And Aegon's
Yes.
dumbass finally feels like someone loves him because he's
Yeah,
complaining, asking if
exactly.
his mother loves him, complaining that his father didn't even like him. And as
Suddenly
he's,
he's got
go
the
ahead.
love of the people. Suddenly he's got the love of the people.
Yeah. And it's like that love is fickle. They don't
Yes.
actually love you. They've been forced here to witness your
Hmm.
coronation and they can't do anything about it either way. So
Exactly.
they're gonna
It was it
clap.
was it was a frightening moment for me though, for him to like realize that, oh wait, now okay, he thinks the people are on his side. He's recognizing for the first time just like how much power he has as a king. And there's something that Alicent said to him in when they were on the way there. She's like, show them mercy. Don't have them executed. Don't have Rhaenyra and her family executed. Show them mercy. Show them mercy. And it reminds me of Joffrey. And
Hmm.
before, like she's like, oh, mercy. So she's like, mercy, show mercy and be like, a good and
Send them to
gentle,
the wall.
send them to the wall. But no. So like because I have Joffrey PTSD, I'm a little bit nervous about what's coming with Aegon now that he's king. Because it wasn't heartwarming. It was terrifying for me.
Yeah, that him kind of, because we know he's so shitty, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so like him having this moment of like, they like me, they really like
Really?
me.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God, what is he gonna do? And we already know he's not gonna be a good king. It's like what I said, he's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
Maegor and Robert Baratheon combined.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I did have a moment where I wanted to give a shout out to the honor guard because I thought that was really cool.
Did you see the
Once
one
upon
guy who turned too early?
No.
Oh,
I'll
that's one.
have to go back
When
and
they
look.
turn right before they all do the sword thing, one guy
Hmm.
turns before the command.
Oh, that's funny.
I just like
He
I
should.
don't know
You're
why I was
not.
paying
That's
such
like the
close
first one of the
attention.
first rules of ROTC is not to anticipate the command. Me and my sister were on the honor guard. We did the thing with the swords and all that, the sabers.
Rhaenyra gets
Yeah.
away. Rhaenyra,
Rhaenyra gets
Rhaenys.
away.
Oh,
Rhaenys gets away.
Auntie Rhae.
Auntie Ray gets away.
Auntie Rhae gets away. She goes
Just
and gets her
like
dragon
she gets her
and
dragon.
bursts to the
There's
floors, which to me was so reminiscent of the Great Sept of Baelor being blown up by
blown to
wildfire.
pieces. Yes.
And also the poor small folk, once again, being the ones who are getting
Cannon
injured.
fodder.
And, because she burst through, how many people died? How many
How
people were
many people
standing on
died?
that
Because
spot?
we talked about that earlier today, and we were saying that, they said that, oh, she was being really merciful because she spared the royal family. But what about everybody else who died?
Right. What about everybody else? Like a whole bunch of people got hit by the tail.
Like,
All
you
the
were just
people that
one
were
of these
standing where they burst
people.
through. It's like nobody cares about the small folk.
Nah, nobody does.
And she
Nobody
did spare
does.
the royal family.
Hmm.
And
But it looked like Allison was ready to die.
I mean, what can you do? You're gonna put up your sword? Because she told Kristen to get Helena and do what?
Get out of here.
Like, unless you're gonna run away, which didn't seem like there was any space to, what are you gonna do against the dragon?
Sir Kristen must have been like, fuck. Really? Helena? She's gonna say some weird shit and not go anywhere.
And then we all die. Um, we obviously know
Uh,
she wasn't gonna kill them because that would end would
yeah.
end the whole show, right?
Yeah,
If she
yeah, yeah.
murders the one contender. But let's just speak hypothetically. What would happen next if Rhaenys had murdered all of them
She ascends the throne.
herself, you think?
Yes. Yes. Finally
Oh,
take it. Like, okay, ascend the throne. Like, what else? I mean,
but then
someone's
she'd
got to do
but
it,
then she'd
right?
be warring with Rhaenyra.
Well, she keeps it warm for Rhaenyra because she doesn't want it. But like, it needs a placeholder. She could be queen for a day.
Do you think Hightower banners would rise up?
They would have to.
It's like their duty, right?
It's their duty. They would have to, but they also know that they don't have. I mean, yeah, because now Vhagar has no dragon rider in that case, right?
Right. So they don't have any dragons on. They won't have any dragons
No.
because if all of them are dead,
Hmm.
then there's no
Yeah.
Sunfire. I mean Dreamfire, no Vhagar. And what was the other one? Aegon's dragon.
Don't remember.
Mr. Snuffles, we'll call him.
Mr. Snuffles.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, if she had killed them, like, what happens next? Is it over?
Yeah,
The show
I
would
know.
be
I think
over.
you go, you fly to Dragonstone, but like, yo, come back. They're
Yeah, I
all
killed
dead.
everyone. You're safe.
So your dad's dead, but also so are all the high towers. Celebrate again?
When she
Yeah.
can we just talk about her armor?
Yes, I've been waiting for you to bring it up
Oh
because
my
I love her
God. So
armor.
she was clutching her cloak so tight the whole time. And I remember thinking, why is she clutching her cloak so tight? Like, is it to
Hmm.
hide like her fine gown? Like she couldn't throw on a maid fit and
Yeah.
but now we know she was wearing her damn dragon armor because it's not like she brought it with her to change into, right?
Yeah, because I was like when I saw it, I didn't realize that. I thought she was holding her cloak to just like protect her identity, right? But then I thought, well, maybe they've just got maybe it's like the Bat Cave. They've got like the suits down there just in case. But yeah, maybe because like I don't know that she would travel to the well, actually maybe she would travel with it considering that
Well, I
you
mean,
know
she came there on Dragonback,
she came on
so she would have
Dragonback
had it with
to
her. So
came on Dragonback to do what she did, you know?
yeah, she came on Dragonback to King's Landing.
Hmm.
So I would assume that it was in her rooms. And so
Yeah.
when Sir Eric came to get her, she just changed into it
Yeah.
and then threw
I
that
love
cloak
it.
on and was clutching it
See
all
more
tight. I
armor.
love that armor so much. It would probably cost me $1 million, but like I need a replica of it to wear around the house under my
You
bathrobe.
just like open it up and just scream Jakaris at your children.
I'm gonna start yelling Dracarys at them and see what happens.
Let me know. I'm all for it. I'll be like what they say now when people come to the door.
Dracarys! Like, poor UPS guy. Do you want to get into spoiler territory, or is there anything else you want to talk about first?
There's not I don't think there's anything else that I want to talk about. And I'm curious to know what your spoiler talk is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the spoiler section. You know the deal. We're gonna talk
Bye.
book spoilers. If you don't want to hear book spoilers, now's your chance to say goodbye. Find us on the socials. You know the vibes. Spoilers
Hmm.
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The first thing, well, you mentioned it, so I guess it's not really that spoilery because we all know
Right.
Kristen Cole kills Beesbury.
Right.
I was just gonna note that in the book he slit his throat, and that intentionality is what I preferred. I would have preferred to see, but
Right.
we already kind of talked about that. But that was one of my spoiler notes.
That's what I was gonna say. That's something that I kind of looked and I reviewed because it's like Sir Kristen, it's there's like three different accounts of how he died or something, two or three different like he either that he was hung or that he was thrown out the window
Oh,
or
Beesbury,
that yeah, or that his
right?
throat was cut. He was forcefully put in the chair and Sir Kristen slit his throat. I hate him.
I hate him so much.
I hate him so much.
Um, the other thing,
Uh,
my other spoilery thing.
so I just saw one of my notes with the twins. It was like I hate it here. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Another like just book distinction was that Lady Fell that we were talking, the one I called Pell because
Yeah.
apparently Pell grants have been on my mind. Um, Lady Fell was actually executed in the book
Mm,
for not, for her taking her stance. She's actually
yeah.
executed. Um, but the real spoiler thing, those were just like notes I made in my mind.
Hmm.
Um, do you think next week we're gonna see Rhaenyra's monster baby?
Ooh.
Like, do you think that's something we're gonna get in the show?
I would like to see the monster baby.
Or do you think they're just gonna give us like a stillbirth
Oh.
and tone it down because maybe in real life it wasn't a monster baby the way they described? Because
Um,
remember, the book we're reading from this Maester's account,
right.
and he's
From his account.
retelling stories.
I would like to see the monster baby just because it would be a nice like call back to Daenerys's baby,
Yeah,
right? That we never saw. We just heard it was monstrous and like eaten by worms or cream, like disgusting. And I
yeah,
don't know how much disgust I need, right? Considering it is a couple weeks, like the week before Halloween, that this would be coming on. I don't know if I need it to be really gruesome, but I would, yeah, I want to know that this is a risk that they're taking, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Since we know that the Maester's account is gonna have exaggerations and inconsistencies
yeah.
and all of that, I did wonder if she just had a stillbirth and then they jazzed it up. Because was it Mushroom who said that her baby had like wings and all that? I don't remember.
Probably sounds like a
It
mushroom
sounds like
thing
a
to say.
mushroom thing, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess someone can tell us
Yeah.
if you remember. We don't remember.
Although
Um,
it's maybe it sounds mush. I mean, it sounds like very fanciful and mushroom, but like considering that mushroom was like Team Rhaenyra, maybe not.
mm,
I have to go. I have to go back and look that up. Um, yeah, I would like to. I would like to see that. Like maybe it's like the news. Maybe then she gets the news because we all know that she's pregnant, right? So
right.
maybe she gets the news of her father's death and the fact that her throne has been stolen right out from under her, and she goes into early labor, and then it's like this monster baby.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens in the book. She goes into early labor when she gets the news and
Hmm.
then gives birth. And I think she screams like, "Get out of me, monster," or something like that. And then it is like
Uh-huh,
a monster
uh-huh.
baby. So I wonder though if how much of it is going to be exaggeration,
Yeah.
and are we just going to get her having a difficult birth to a
Maybe we
stillborn?
just see like like we don't
The
see the baby, but
bundle.
we see just like the bundle and a tail or something
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or everyone's horrified looks like in
Mm.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that
Oh
was that
man.
was
There's
the only
so
spoilery thing that I really had to talk about.
I mean, I'm like I said, I kind of flipped through Fire and Blood a little bit a little while ago, just because I mean, it's because we're at the almost at the end now, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to refresh my memory about like what's to come because there's so
There is
much
so
coming.
much. There's so much.
We haven't even gotten into the good stuff yet. Like, and I just shout out to the show runners and everything because like, well done,
Brava. Brava.
well done, lords and ladies. Just like I did. I mean, I had hoped that I would be this excited about this again,
Yeah, me
but
too.
like it absolutely exceeded my expectations, and I'm so
So
pleased.
what do you think of it? Think of it as an episode 9, because episode 9 in Game of Thrones was traditionally like the episode that had like a whole bunch of shit happen.
Yeah,
So what do you think of it as
I
just an episode 9?
I thought it was in episode 9 that they did a really good job. It was like it was a bit of a slow burn. I was just like it starts off so quiet and I think that's how episode 9 started off, right? It's like really quiet, heavily like sparse scenes, like very heavily driven by the music.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and then it's just like the momentum keeps building and building and building and building until you're just like I did not expect. I thought that Rhaenyra was just gonna peace out. I didn't expect her to burst to the floor and kill a bunch of people, and like
Rhaenys, you
threaten the
mean?
royal. Yeah, yes, Rhaenys.
Auntie
God,
Ray.
Auntie Ray, Auntie Ray. I gotta like tattoo that on my brain. That Auntie Ray was gonna come through and do what she did. Like I just thought that she was gonna get out, and we're gonna see her flying off to warn everyone, at Dragonstone.
I like that
But
she made a show of it.
I do
To
too.
be like, you see how
She's
easily I
like,
could kill you? And I'm
yes,
showing you mercy.
yeah. She's like, don't forget, I am a Targaryen.
Right.
I'm not, and it's just like all these things that you said to me, and like especially as a like in direct contrast to the conversation that she had earlier with her. You know, she's like, oh, your husband abandoned you, your children are dead. She's like, I am still powerful. Don't forget who I am. Like,
Hmm.
do you know who you're talking to? You and I are not the same. You and I are not the same.
Not
Fall
at
back,
all.
Allison. Oh man, I just, yeah, I don't, is it my favorite episode 9 ever? No,
No.
probably not. But I think for a first season episode 9, not bad.
There was a lot of tension, which I appreciated.
Yeah,
I thought Viserys would have died in episode 9 and Rhaenyra would find
I
out in
did
10.
too.
But we are gonna still get Rhaenyra finding out in 10.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought he was gonna die in 9, like at the top of 9. So basically the ending of 8 is what I thought was gonna be the beginning of
Right.
9.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it
I
makes
didn't
sense,
expect him to die so
obviously,
early,
the way
but
it did.
I like that. They gave it like give him the whole episode.
Yeah.
Give him the whole episode. It was just so beautiful. Shout out to Patty Considine.
Yeah, he did amazing, and I hope he
Oh,
wins an Emmy.
me
I
too.
really do, because he was absolutely amazing in this.
He just brought so much to Viserys that I didn't and I talked about this earlier. It's like well, not with you, but I was talking about this earlier. It's just like he brought so much to the character that I didn't expect. I didn't expect like from book Viserys was not I was he wasn't in I wasn't endeared to him. He didn't grow
He
on
wasn't
me.
fleshed
He didn't
out,
become a part of my heart.
right? He wasn't fleshed
Um
out the way the show Viserys is.
and just oh man, he just did such a good job with him and just like taking the little tidbits that they have in Fire and Blood and like you said, like realizing a full character with it. Just
Hmm.
oh. Excellent.
And also they changed his manner of death.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
see him deteriorating from like years before, and it's like his death is slowly coming. Whereas in the
Yeah.
book, it was just he was getting fatter and fatter, and then
Fatter
like
and fatter.
essentially had a
And
heart attack.
yeah, he took a nap and didn't wake up.
Yeah. So that would have been, I guess, I like the change.
I do too, because it's just like you got to set, you got to, it gave an opportunity to deliver the sense of urgency
Mm-hmm.
with, like renaming his heir and standing up for Rhaenyra and like making sure that this prophecy that he knows about only one other person in the entire realm knows about is passed on. Um, and just to like know that I'm dealing with all of you guys, like the nonsense of all of you, but I'm literally falling to pieces.
Right.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, they did a great job bringing Viserys to life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it for spoilers for me. And that's it for the episode for me. Do you have
That's it.
anything to drop off before we go?
Let me consult my notes. Nam, 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 nam. Is there anything that we didn't talk about? Yeah, no. Yeah, no. The only thing it says like it reeks of a coup, but we know that already. But
Mhm.
no, nothing. Nothing. I was satisfied with it. It made me happy. I went from like, Tanya, I'm going to bed. I'm so tired. I can't stay awake to being like awake for another 3 hours. Reading Elantris.
I watched it
Uh,
right after again.
I started to, and I was like, I'm gonna be up all night if I do that. I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, I was
But then
up
I
way
then
too late and
I
I
read
regretted
instead.
it. All right, well, that's it for us. I've been Tanya,
I'm always Nikki.
and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.